Oh, hello there. Thanks for joining me again today for Chapter 3 of Kid Artists. I also just realized, and I don't know how I didn't know this, that one of our favorite comedians, Doogie Horner, is the illustrator for this book. And kids, as you know, an illustrator is the person who draws the pictures for the book. So that was a fun little surprise, and it was published at Quirk Books, which um, was a publishing book company here in Philly. I don't know if they still exist, but they had all kinds of fun, crazy books. So they made this one. I had no idea. Connections. Anyway, all right, so we're going to read chapter 3 today on Beatrix Potter. Beatrix Potter. And she was known as, which one I moved? There we go. She was known as Nature Girl, or, I mean, as a kid, she was known as that, whatever. All right. She may have been born in the city, but Beatrix Potter was a country girl at heart. The author of such classic illustrated books as The Tale of Peter Rabbit found her first artistic inspiration on a sprawling estate in the Scottish countryside. Ah, the Scottish countryside. There she discovered the love of animals and drawing that would make her one of the world's most beloved storytellers. The first time Beatrix saw her family's new vacation home, Beatrix Potter knew it was the place for her. Home sweet home, she called it. The local name for the house was, oh, here's another word. The local name for the house was Dalgeese. Put my finger on it so you can see it. Dalgeese? Sounds good to me. Beatrix was just 5 years old when her parents decided to rent the country estate, which lay nestled in the woods along the River Tay in the heart of the Scottish Highlands. It became her summertime refuge for the next 11 years. Looks like a pretty nice castle to hang out in. Bet it's haunted. Dalgeese was nothing like the Potter's house back in London, a dark and drafty mansion known as Bolton Gardens. After being cooped up all year in the big city, catered to by servants and mostly ignored by her rich parents, Beatrix looked forward to the annual excursion to the north countryside. The lush green fields of Scotland were like an exciting new world, teeming with strange plants and interesting wildlife. The sights and smells of the nearby cottages and farms never ceased to enchant her. At first she explored by herself. Then, when her younger brother Bertram grew old enough, she had a playmate to go on adventures with. Although Beatrix was rich in material things, thanks to her wealthy parents, she lacked true friendship. Her mother would not let her play with other children for fear she would catch germs. I mean, we're all feeling that one right now. Whew. So Bertram became Beatrix's constant companion. Though they were 5 years apart in age, they shared a curiosity about the natural world. Together they would wander through the woods along the stony beaches of the River Tay, scooping up plants, animals, and insects for the collection of nature specimens. Sounds kind of like our friend back here, Mr. Vincent van Gogh, scooping up those bugs. Here we see, I guess that's Beatrix, yep, in a dress. Bertrand, I caught one. Unhand me, you foul villain. Benedict, hold on. Poor little froggies. I'm sure many frogs were harmed in the making of her childhood. Beatrix and Bertram had many adventures at Dalgeese. One day they found a dead fox in the woods. Ew. They took it back to the house, skinned it, and boiled it until there was nothing left but bones, which they then proceeded to reconstruct into a skeleton. Ugh. The two also created specimen books, filling the pages with drawings of birds, eggs, butterflies, flowers, and flowers. Got a little too excited there. Beatrix discovered she was good at making these detailed illustrations, and soon she branched out into recording larger animals and plants. The children even unearthed an old printing press and started stamping out woodcuts of nature scenes using a homemade ink they concocted themselves. So, an old printing press. unlike, say, like a copy machine, was this big, crazy, heavy thing that turned, and it had this big plate that, with heavy duty sort of pressure, stamped from a printing plate onto multiple pieces of paper. So they found one of those and made their own ink. I bet they used black walnut. You can use black walnut and make ink. Look it up. When the summer ended, Beatrix and Bertram returned to London, where they continued their studies of the specimens they smuggled home from Dalgise. The family butler, Cox, was enlisted to sneak small animals up to the third-floor bedroom the children shared. In the time they amassed a small menagerie that included several mice, assorted rabbits, a hedgehog, some bats, a family of snails, a frog named Punched, a pair of lizards named Toby and Judy, and a 14-inch long ring snake they called Sally. Quite the collection. And the little snail saying this place is getting crowded. There's a bat. No comment. Whenever Beatrix wanted to draw the animals, her brother would let them out of their cages so they could pose for her. The hedgehog, in particular, did not seem to like sitting for portraits. So long as she can go to sleep on my knee, she is delighted, Beatrix reported. But if she is propped up on end for half an hour, she first begins to yawn, and then she does bite. Some of Beatrix's drawings were realistic. Others were more fanciful. She drew rabbits that walked upright on two legs, wore bonnets, carried umbrellas, or ice skated. More and more, she started dreaming up stories about the animals in the natural world. When Beatrix was 10 years old, Bertram left home to attend boarding school. Beatrix was sorry to lose her trusted friend, but determined to continue with her drawing. In those days, girls did not go to school, so Beatrix, let's call her B. So B was educated at home by a series of private teachers called governesses. One governess, Miss Hammond, presented Beatrix with a paint box so she could add color to her illustrations. On weekends, Miss Hammond took Beatrix to the Kensington Natural History Museum. Beatrix spent the entire morning sketching the animals in their display cases. Now, when the Academy of Natural Sciences opens back up and everything returns to normal, that's a great place to go to draw inspiration from. Literally, draw inspiration. Over the next few years, Beatrix made hundreds of natural history sketches, including several dozen drawings of mushrooms. But with her brother away at school, she didn't have a way to share her experiences with others. Then one summer, while on vacation with her parents, she met Canon Hardwicke Rawnsley. A young priest. He took an immediate interest in Beatrix's artwork and encouraged her to start recording her impressions in a diary. "Beatrix, you simply must keep a journal." Thanks, Canon Hardwicke Rawnsley. At first, Beatrix was skeptical. She was good at drawing, but writing, that was something entirely different. "What would I put in a diary?" she asked. "I don't do anything exciting." "Why, everything that happens," Canon Rawnsley replied. "The places you visit, people you talk to, stories you hear. It isn't so much what you write. It's doing it regularly that counts. And the more you write, the easier you'll find it. Do try it. Beatrix decided to accept Rawnsley's challenge, but first she took steps to ensure that no one could read her diary without permission. She composed her entries in a secret code that only she could decipher, kind of like Da Vinci. She also wrote in a tiny, cramped script that would strain prying eyes. She wrote so tiny. I used to write secret notes doing that in the tiniest handwriting I could. Just as Rawnsley had predicted, the diary turned out to be a great way for Beatrix to express herself. She ended up keeping a journal for more than 16 years. It became the place where she recorded sketches, jokes, and stories from the newspaper, comments on the plants and animals she encountered, and descriptions of nature scenes that would later become the setting for some of her classic children's stories. As Beatrix grew older, she became less shy about sharing her stories with others. Whenever she went away on vacation, she sent letters to other children of her friends and former governesses. Over the course of her life, she wrote more than 1,000 such letters, often accompanied by sketches of small animals like those she encountered at Dalgise. One of these picture letters became the basis for her first book, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, published in 1902. Today, it's considered one of the most popular children's books of all times. Beatrix would remain deeply interested in the natural world for the rest of her life. She contributed detailed illustrations of mushrooms and fungus spores to leading scientific organizations. Art career job alert. She also began farming and raising sheep, and she soon had a flock that numbered in the thousands. In fact, Beatrix was so successful that she became the first woman elected president of the Herdwick Sheep Herders Association. Woman power, happy National Women's Month. International Women's Month. But despite these achievements, Beatrix is best remembered for her children's books, which have sold millions of copies worldwide. Many of the characters she invented were inspired by real people and animals she encountered as a child. The title character in her 1905 book, The Tale of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, for example, was a combination of her pet hedgehog, that one that disliked posing for pictures, and a Scottish washwoman named Kitty MacDonald. In all, Beatrix would publish 23 tales for kids. Today, more than a century later, Beatrix Potter fans from all over the world still flock to the house in the Highlands where so many of her stories began. You never liked posing, Miss Tiggy Winkle. I've got laundry to do. It's hard to stand still that long. Quite true, quite true. Cute. Didn't know that much about Beatrix Potter, so that was really fun for me. I got a lot of ideas reading that of what you could do with your time. One of the things I was thinking of is like how the priest told Beatrix to just keep writing every day. Doesn't matter what it is, just write something every day. That's a really good way to come up with ideas and to revisit your reflections. So I encourage you to write every day. Write anything, everything, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Write it down. Take 5-10 minutes and just write. Another idea I had is you could, like Beatrix was inspired by people in her lives and animals. She would, like Peter Rabbit, make these animals that stood upright and talked. So maybe you could write your own story about someone, a friend or a family member, and illustrate them as an animal standing upright. Maybe write a few sentences and give it an illustration. You could even do it comic book style. That could be really cool. So there's a lot of ideas being inspired here from our book Kid Artists, and a lot of similarities that run across their lives as children I'm starting to notice. So tune in tomorrow as we learn about Emily Carr, another one I don't know that much about. So very exciting. We're all learning together. All right, I miss you guys. I might do a live video today on my Instagram account, Nebinger Elementary Art, as I take a little nature walk down to the river. Just need to get outside, and I don't think there'll be a lot of people. If there are, I'll keep 6 feet distance, but if there are a lot of people, I'm just going to come running back. I don't know. All right, I miss you guys, love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. You'll see me tomorrow. We already established that yesterday in my awkwardness. All right, I'm done.